Thousands of Michigan residents are still waiting for an organ transplant.
And more people are being added to that list every day.
Organ donation improves lives and gives people a new lease on life.
However, the number of people from multicultural communities who need a transplant is unexpectedly high.
While those communities are often more reluctant to sign up to be donors.
This is partially due to cultural misinformation
and limited understanding of the organ donation process.
It's time we close the gap
to ensure more lives can be saved
and more heroes leave a legacy of life.
I remember it was a Monday evening. My son gave me a call and he ended with, "Mom, I love you." And I said, "I love you too. Talk to you later."
My 22-year-old daughter, during surgery, they cut her carotid artery and she became an organ donor.
My son had an aneurysm in his heart. I get a call from the hospital stating we would probably be spending the last hours with Emilio.
When I discovered that I had to have dialysis, it was quite traumatic. I was doing things one way, the next day I had to do things completely another way.
I was on a transplant list 5 years and 3 months. Not being here for my family was something that I was worried about.
I'm a 3-time liver transplant recipient. I had my first transplant when I was 15. When we thought that that time had come, that there was no hope, everybody was saying goodbye. And I was saying goodbye.
Minorities are not represented as much as they should be within the organ registry.
Here in Michigan, about 3,000 people are waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. And every day in the United States, people die because that organ does not become available.
Multicultural groups experience a disproportionate degree of certain diseases like diabetes and hypertension, which leads to organ failure.
There are also a number of myths that surround organ donation that make people more hesitant to consider donating. There's the idea that if you're a registered organ donor, that if you come to the hospital critically ill, the doctors won't work as hard to save your life.
Whereas that's not true. They swore an oath to protect you, and then eventually, if there's not much they can do, look into seeing if you can become a donor.
Having done this job for over 20 plus years, I knew it was the right thing to do. We were able to transplant her heart, lungs, liver, and both kidneys.
A lot of times people are afraid they don't have the information, the knowledge, and that's what I do when I'm out in the community.
I believe that education, starts in the home by having an early discussion about these sort of uncomfortable ideas.
The strongest way we can encourage the spirit of organ donation is to ensure that faith leaders within these communities know about organ donation.
One of the best roles that a physician can play is to build that discussion into the everyday part of practice.
Having that conversation is tough, but like everything else, you just have to get into it and do it.
Trust is critical.
We care about donors and their families, and we care about those who desperately need an organ transplant.
Even though I was feeling like my world had just ended, the representative made me feel that they understood every emotion that I was feeling.
It's one of the few things in life where, with minimal effort, you can directly touch someone's life.
And because this is a valuable gift that someone has given to someone else, and we want to make sure that it's done in the right way.
It's important for any community just to be aware of organ donation. We're all in this together and we can help each other.
Because I was given the opportunity for a second chance at life, I was able to give her life as well.
Let's work together to close the gap.
Let's talk to each other about organ donation before it becomes critical.
To ensure more lives are saved.
And more heroes are made.
Leave a legacy.
Consider organ donation.
Consider organ donation.
Consider organ donation.